push, hustle, go make it happen, but at the same time be able to step away and be like, if this business failed tomorrow, I could be okay with that. This is not the fullest expression of who I am. This is a business, and there'll be other purposes for me. There'll be other iterations of me. It might sound like a quasi kind of spiritual perspective, but I actually think entrepreneurs can often make themselves sick and stressed by a lot of stuff that doesn't actually help them grow the business. So making sure you have time to be, you have time to play, you have time to nurture relationships. I think that stuff is really important to living like a fully expressed life. Profit versus purpose. So I founded a social purpose business in the UK. I used to get a lot of stick from teachers who, in a very kind of educational and non-profit mindset, would say, well, what are you? Are you a business or are you a charity? We said, we're a social purpose business. We're structured as a business, and we don't have outside investment. We do take dividends from the business occasionally, but we're also really here about furthering our social mission. Probably you've come up, in the UK we have something called KICs, community interest companies. Here you have something called B Corps. Couchsurfing, for example, is a B Corp. It's one of these hybrids. To me, it's a classic both and, saying both these things are important. Sometimes for people who are very oriented towards pursuing their mission, they sometimes underestimate the importance of profit. And if it's true that cash is king, if you run out of money, you kind of run out of mission, then paying attention to both of those things could be really useful. I've also sometimes found people who have this sort of spiritual perspective on life that, well, if I'm not making money right now, that's how it's meant to be. And I think that's sort of like a spiritual convenience in some ways. If you're not making money right now, the spiritual thing might be to look that straight in the eyes and say, do you have a business model, or do you have a business, or can you sell, or are you doing the things that really are going to allow you to go out there and make money? And in the early days of your business, your filter might be set a bit lower. So I've also encountered people in Boulder who they have a sort of purity about their mission, like they only want to service this kind of client, they only want to deliver this kind of product or service. And I guess I would encourage you to bring a certain pragmatism to your business, which says, in the early days, if you need to sell something slightly different to someone slightly different, I would make the sale, I would get the money in, I'd get the experience, I'd get the testimonial, and I'd build from there. So the filter's wider, but as you progress your business, that filter probably needs to become narrower so that you have a product or service architecture that people can really engage with and they know what you do. But in the early days, if you need to do some what we call cash projects that don't look like sexy projects, I would say roll your sleeves up, get them done, and get the money into the business. Because if I look back at Future Foundation's growth, the major milestones in the business is always two things. It's either a hire or it's a contract. Because the contract allows you the cash to expand, to invest, to put more time into business development to grow the thing. And hiring the right people is definitely milestones in how the business grows out. So just work out where you sit with that. Sometimes, again, I can hear this perspective in Boulder, well, I'm just listening. I'm just listening to my internal mission. I'm just discerning what needs to happen here. And I think there's this polarity that needs to be managed between discerning what's important to you on the inside and listening to what the marketplace says is important to the marketplace. I don't think there's anything dirty about being very clued into the marketplace, because, if guidance or source or connectedness or whatever your language is for that speaks from the inside in a small, still voice of quietness, it can also speak through other people's mouths as well, in my experience. So if people are saying, hey, that thing over there, that's super cool, I want to pay you decent money to do it, then that's useful data. So having that ability to be flexible to the marketplace, but not so much. In my space that I was in the UK in youth, people can become vacuum cleaners for government funding. It's like, oh, government says we want to do this. Oh yeah, we can do this over here. Oh, government says we do this. Oh, we do this over here. And eventually, if you do that for long enough, you end up with a kind of tentacle-based business that doesn't really stand for anything in the world. It's like we stand for finding government contracts so that we can exist. That's not a particularly compelling purpose. So again, you need to manage that. You need to keep true to something that's important to you, but also, let's get the bills paid. Let's make some money. So again, these are my details. We'd love to stay in touch, and open up the floor to questions. Thanks very much.
Questions?
Yep.
Okay. If you are not an entrepreneur, you're just a sole practitioner,
Yes.
professional, who wants to live consciously, feel just in a different way.
Like what to do for your work?
Just that, as I think you communicate that message to differentiate yourself. Because when value set very much resonates with you?
Oh, to communicate that to your potential clients?
Yes. If you need to take it offline and think about it this way.
Well, I think, so some of the best ways to communicate your values to people, I think, are through either other clients that you work with or particular stories that have happened in your company or in your solo business. To me, that's more compelling than when someone says, you know, here are my 5 values: authenticity, honesty, blah, 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 blah. No problem with that, but let's put it in the context of a story, and then I kind of know what you mean by that, and that's what's of interest to me. Conscious is, you know, at university I studied essentially contested concepts. You know, so you take something like democracy and you say, well, you think democracy is a system of government and I think it's a set of values, but we're going to use the word as if we think it's the same thing. And that's a problem. Conscious is similar than that in my experience. You know, what I mean by conscious